Shalom, shalom. It is after 11 p.m. and got the light rain, branches and leaves on the shelter. There's something that's on my mind regarding another testimony that I have never put online on video before. I have spoken to plenty of people one-on-one. I have written a few small commentary on the matter. I'm not sure exactly how to begin addressing it, except to just get right in it. There may be a couple of parts to this topic. I'll try to keep this one fairly brief. So, I have a rainbow that the Most High led me to put on my YouTube. Oh, it's starting to rain a little harder. And he also led me to the dandelion flower in seed form for my the icon for the profile. I did not realize the significance of these two images until I would say within the past few years. Couple of years. But it wasn't until this past year that he gave me deeper revelation on the matter. How much deeper it goes. And it's still, he's not finished showing me things about it and his intention behind it in his ways past finding out. So, the rainbow, my intention was his covenant promise that he would never again destroy the earth by a flood. And the sign between he and us was the bow in the cloud after the rain. The significance of the bow and what it reflects can never be stolen. It may be imitated, but it could never be stolen. Something that I found that happened entirely too often in certain religious circles that I would fellowship in was the ignorant speech of certain believers regarding the rainbow and as it pertains to, or in their perception as it pertains to the literal rainbow and the flag that the homosexual community or lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer community, what it signifies to them. Now, I know that they have added certain colors to their flag, and it has certain meanings behind each color that they've chosen. Originally, it was 6 colors. Now, we have to think here. The rainbow in the cloud has 7. Correct me if I'm wrong. So to ignorantly say, they're stealing the rainbow, that's foolhardy and incorrect all the way around. Now, you have to do a little bit of research, and you have to have, a mind that's open enough not for your brains to fall out, but that you are well informed on that matter. Because when you speak, bigoted, with bigoted speech, which I've been guilty of, so I've learned my lesson, because I have a life experience where I was with a woman for 2 years. Now, the circumstances of that happening is a little involved, but previous to that, I had small encounters with females here and there in the profession that I used to have when I was a young adult. Okay? Before that profession that I had for a couple of years, which was an exotic dancer, previous to that, in my youth, I was exposed to pornographic material. Prior to me being exposed to pornographic material, at about 7 years old, I was molested at about 4 years old. So, after being exposed to the after being exposed to the molestation, I became aware of my sex organs, and instances of masturbation began to take place. After I was exposed to the pornography, those instances of masturbation increased. They increased when I was stressed out or bored. This is my adult mind reflecting in a very balanced way with you right now regarding this testimony. Okay? Before I lost my virginity, I had all manner of sexual seeds planted in my mind. I had a potty mouth. I had a dirty sense of humor. Very mature, beyond my age. I was able to grasp all manner of comedy and innuendo. Okay? I was addicted to the 976 numbers before I lost my virginity. I got caught that way. Charging to other numbers. I learned how to charge the calls to other numbers, and once I got found out, it was process of elimination that I was the daughter that was doing that. The straight A student. The one who had 5 friends. A little bit on the geeky side. Okay? Now, when I became a teenager, after I had my first cigarette, my first drink, my first joint, then I began fornicating. So it was the images and the actions were very different. But because I didn't have proper guidance and instruction on these matters, I basically was left on my own to raise myself in these matters. So that when I left home at 17 and became drug addicted. I was using drugs in high school. Okay, dropped a little LSD here and there, not much, didn't like it. Tried mushrooms once. It was mostly the drinking, the marijuana, and the smoking. When I got into the major drug addiction of the speed, after I was in my own apartment, partying and being a waitress, I decided that this was I had enough presence of mind that after that year I realized this was very bad, and the Most High, He did deliver me from that, where I didn't have to, or I didn't go to a rehab. I just stopped being around people like that. I wasn't participating in it. But I was still smoking and drinking. So then when I had my first experience with domestic violence, I had a new baby, and I experienced 2 weeks of homelessness with a newborn baby, and received the help that I needed to secure a home, an apartment in Los Angeles. I was working a minimum wage pizza job. My baby had other people caring for her, and it was difficult being the only income. I was in that abusive relationship still. And once I looked at another job, I was looking for another job. That was when I saw an ad in the paper, in the Los Angeles paper, for a waitress position at a club in LA. And that was when I was told those positions were full. What do I look like? Maybe I'd like to try out for a dancing position. And when I went and auditioned, it was as if all of those years of all of the images in my mind and the feelings that I had and the stories that I wrote and the experiences that I had, it was as though I was able to lay bare all of this suppressed sexual energy and express it in a creative way. So I felt comfortable and free and at home on stage. Okay? Now, I made a lot of money doing that. I enjoyed it, and I wasn't using drugs at the time. There was a lot of different women in that profession doing it for different reasons. It was good money. Some people were going to college. Other people were just trying to make that money. I was paying my bills and helping to support some other family members. And so that happened. Oh, excuse me, let me come over here. So that happened. That was the first time that I had experimented with females. Because, that was part of the job. That was all I saw. 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, naked women. So, doing that, and then I ended up getting caught up in that dark lifestyle. It was a very dark lifestyle. When you're in that type of environment, and it's a world full of fantasy and darkness and money, you get addicted to the money, you get addicted to the lifestyle, and it slowly pulled me into it, and I started having very risky behaviors, and I did end up relapsing on drugs at that time for a short amount of time. I forgot to mention that before, but for a short amount of time, I was using drugs, bachelor party type stuff. Now, by the grace of God, I'm not dead. I didn't, but I felt like I was dying. I felt like I wasn't able to have a normal conversation with people, because this was, every day, 10-hour days, for so long that I couldn't have a regular conversation with anybody. My mind was broken. And so I ended up stopping that. I stopped that line of work. And I went back with the father of my daughter, and we ended up conceiving our second child. These are my 2 adult children now. And it was in that time that he delivered me from smoking nicotine. I was clean and started reading the Bible, started getting really deep into the Bible. So I was becoming a whole different person. I was not the same person that I was before. And so there's another aspect of that testimony that I could, several branches of testimony that I can branch off of that. But as regards the homosexuality, when I moved up here in 2004, I was devastated after 5 years of celibacy. I was devastated and brokenhearted by the man I was supposed to marry when I moved up here. He was my friend. We had never done anything ever. And so he broke my heart, and then I started smoking cigarettes again. That was the traumatic event that took place. So I started smoking cigarettes again. And then I said, I swear off. I decided I was going to go back to being celibate. I swore off all men. And then this woman came into my life, and I couldn't tell if she was a man or a woman. I had to ask, but it was, I was so broken. I was so, personally, for my testimony, I was so broken and so hurt. And this woman seemed to have the qualities that was filling a need, filling a hole that I had. At that time, I was a Jehovah's Witness, but they disfellowshipped me when I confessed my sin. And they disfellowshipped me, and in the book of James, it says, confess your faults one to another. And the elders, that's what they're supposed to just pray over you, anointing you, and the prayer of faith will, the sins will be forgiven and will make me well. That never happened. So that was like the first eye-opener about the religion that I was in my time of celibacy. And so I didn't have my regular support of my spiritual family because they were shunning me. Because, not only did I not have them, the ones that I had known for, 7 years, because I was married previously to my older children's father. So but I became celibate to get free from the domestic violence. So, but I remained as a Jehovah's Witness, as a celibate single mother. And so all those friends, when I moved up here, I didn't have those people anymore. But the brothers and sisters here, they all shunned me. And so I was basically, I had no family, no friends. I was starting all over. And so, but it was really beautiful country up here. The Great Northwest is really beautiful. So I didn't want to give up on it. And I didn't know what was all in store for this new season in my life. I had no idea. I was so sheltered and so naive about so many things. And so I did have that experience of being with a woman for 2 years. And in the beginning of that time with her, I relapsed on the speed. I did not know in the beginning that she was an addict. And I just wanted to be in her world. She's very much like a man trapped in a woman's body. And having that close friendship and relationship. And she did have faith. She believed in Jesus. Because my first experience of experiencing a healing in my body came from her prayer. Believe it or not. I had a back injury and I was in terrible pain. And she wept, she was crying, and she was praying for me. And she was calling on Jesus, and she was praying for me to be healed. And do you know, the pain went away. And I had no idea. You know, I was coming from a Jehovah's Witness background, so I had fallen in love with Christ as a witness. But I didn't know who he was, truly. Excuse me. That was my first experience of a physical healing. It was from a lesbian woman in the name of Jesus. Now, I did end it. I got clean and she did not. And she always said that she was scared she would lose me either to a man or to God. And I told her, you lost me to God, because I personally could not live that way anymore with what I did know about the Bible and who I was. I had to acknowledge the truth that this woman I loved, I cared for this woman, but I wasn't attracted to women like I was attracted to men, and I had to be honest about that. And but at the same time, part of it's in Genesis where the command to his creation was be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. And I could not multiply with her, and I desired to multiply, and it just was impossible. It could not happen. And that really affected me. I couldn't reconcile that. So I guess I made a choice. I chose to end that relationship. I still went through major issues for several years, but this is just part of my testimony and I will just encourage folks. I thank the Most High that He protected me in that season of my life from self-righteous, judgmental Christians. And I'll tell you why. If they would have come at me with a bunch of judgment and damnation, that would have pushed me further and deeper into the lifestyle. So I bless Him for protecting me in that way. That He, in 2 years, He sent. My family didn't judge and condemn me. They told me they loved me either way. My big sister is the only one who said, "You ain't gay." She called me out, but my family did not judge and condemn me, even though I was going through what I was going through. They kept loving me. They didn't focus on that. And the one Christian woman, the one believer that the Father released to minister any word to me on the matter, she kept it real simple. She just said, you do know that it's wrong. Now the Spirit permitted her to do that because the Spirit told her who I was. And I knew that it was right, because it was the Father allowed that short, brief short word ministered unto me when I was trying to reconcile things and getting clean and stuff. So she also did portraits of my children's faces. I still have those. And she was an artist, so she had a studio downtown here, and I'd go there because I used to volunteer at the art gallery. And so she would, have her studio and show me what she was working on. And she had a piece of artwork. It was large panels, 3 panels, and it was in Revelation, the horses, the apocalypse. It was so powerful, and I still didn't fully understand at that time. So can I just say, give a word of encouragement to anybody who finds, oh yes, let me just say this too. When the Father delivered me, when I say I know I've been judgmental and self-righteous, yes. I was so angry at the devil. I was so mad at the devil for tricking me that I hated my old sin. I hated it. But this mouth, I would say things that I was never raised to be racist or bigoted. I wasn't raised that way. So that when these words were coming out and I was using derogatory terms, my children, they were, in their early teens at the time, they were like, man, Mom, they've seen their mother go through some things. And our children, they don't have, but, I had to be chastened by my children for me to shake that out of me. That's wrong too. I can be mad at the devil, but my speech toward other people with the choices that they're making is foul and it's wrong. And we're not supposed to do it. The very thing I was so thankful to the Father for protecting me from, this self-righteousness was coming. So He delivered me from that. And I view the situation with much differently than I used to. And I'm thankful that, we all have a journey that we have to go on, I do not agree with forcing things or, just like a lot of people can't stand having religion crammed down their throat or forced down their throat. People don't like other people's sexuality crammed down their throat or their views and stuff. People talk about religion and politics. Same thing there too. So there's a way for us to do things, and that we need to do it seasoned with salt, right? Grace to the hearer. And if I've learned so many lessons that if I'm not qualified to speak on something, I really can't. It's one thing to have interchange and talk with people and hash things out and share thoughts and opinions and things like that. I like doing that. It's good. Critical thinking. But there are certain things that, I don't get involved in certain matters. Or at least I'm much more cautious about it nowadays. I do have to protect my children, because I personally think that people being involved in small children whose frontal lobes aren't developed until they're in their 20s, and to be meddling with their trying to interject or plant seeds to interfere with the innocence of childhood and sexualizing everything, I am 100% against it. And I view that to be perversion. So, there's a little bit of my testimony regarding the rainbow, why it's on my wall, what it can do to draw people to hear things, and how it can also repel certain people in their presumptions and assumptions. That's why it's folly to answer before you have listened. And never think that you know exactly what somebody feels and means, because you have a colonial indoctrination to whatever degree. That's pride. And as Paul said, it's dung. So, humility in regards to things that you know not. And touche, I say touche, because there's plenty I still need to learn, and I'm open for that. So if anybody has anything they want to share or say, or any questions you want to ask, please feel free. This was longer than I thought. Oh my goodness, over 30 minutes long. So this was much longer than I thought it would be, but it needed to be said. And I thank you, Father, for giving me the grace to express whatever these words that you have permitted me to speak. I pray that it bless the hearer and accomplish your goodwill. I pray y'all be blessed. So yes, if you do have any questions, there'll probably be some other follow-ups to this, because it's an important topic. Okay, shalom.